Welcome to the second episode of the J&J podcast. I'm one of your hosts, John Madigan, and I'm here with my co-host, Joe Vasallo.
I'm your second host. I'm Joe Vasallo.
That's right. We are the J&J podcast, and thank you so much for tuning in to us. This is our second episode, and lucky for us, we just got on iTunes.
Yeah.
So
because of you, the fans.
Yeah, thank you. One fan. Yay.
Yeah. We remember you. We love you.
Thank you guys so much. We just got the show on iTunes, and that is why purposely we made the first episode very short. It was only about 12 minutes and change. And we did that because, Joseph, I don't even know if you know this or not, but when Apple approves a podcast into their iTunes store, they have somebody actually sit there and listen to the entire podcast in its entirety, just the first episode, to approve it. And so because of that, the shorter the podcast, the more likely you are to get approved because there's less stuff in there that could possibly get taken out. After that, though, we can literally do whatever we want. It doesn't matter.
Awesome. I love it. And also, to the fans, don't be deceived by the word store. Our podcast is free.
Yes, every podcast on the iTunes store is 100% free. It's just within the iTunes store, or if you're on your iPhone or your iPad, you can just click on the podcast app that is automatically downloaded for you, and you can type in. The fastest way to find it is to either type in John Madigan or type in Joseph Vasallo. If you type in the J&J podcast, since we just got on there, it's a little difficult to find at the moment. But if you type in John Madigan or Joseph Vasallo, it is the first thing that comes up. So when you get there on your iPhone, your iPad, or your Mac, just click on the subscribe button, and then every episode we do will automatically get downloaded onto your computer, your iPhone, or your iPad, or all three, 100%. For free as soon as we upload it. One of the things that I've gotten X from people, because I've been telling a lot of people about this. Joe, have you been telling people about our podcast and what we've been doing?
All around.
And although I'm an Apple fanboy, I have a lot of friends that own Samsung Galaxies and Androids, just like yourself, Joe.
I love Apple. I love iTunes. I certainly would not say anything bad about them, but at the end of the day, I always got to go with my Android. I got my handy Android. Love it.
And that's great. And so what we've done for you guys who are currently on the Samsung Galaxies and your Androids and whatnot, you can actually go to a free app in the Google Play Store called Podbean, Podbean, all one word. Type in John Madigan or Joseph Vasallo, and that is the first thing that pops up, the J&J podcast. And you can just click on the follow button. And right from there, it's the same thing like iTunes. Every episode will get downloaded straight to your phone as soon as you go to listen to it. As soon as we upload it, it will get downloaded straight to your phone. And it's all 100% free. Now, we did submit our podcast into the Google Play Store. Currently, Google is developing a podcast app, much like iTunes, for direct competitor. And so because of that, we have decided to send in our podcast for approval. And lucky for us, we got approved. And so when we got approved, but the app is not out yet. So because of that, you can't listen on the Google Play Store yet. But once that app comes out, we will be one of the very first podcasts in the Google Play Store. So that's good for us. It means more subscribers and more listeners. And we love our subscribers and our listeners. And so as soon as that's open, you'll be able to download the podcast on there because we've already been approved. We'll be on the Google Play Store day one as soon as that podcast opens up. But for right now,
and please, guys,
sorry, Joseph.
Please don't think that I'm not invested just because I'm not talking about all the techie stuff. I love this. I'm invested. It's just simply that John's my tech guy as much as he's my co-host. I wouldn't be able to do this without him. I'm honestly lost when it comes to all of the submitting stuff and all that other stuff. So just so you know, I love you guys. I love this podcast.
Right. Joe and I are co-hosts. We're equal. I just do a lot of the behind the scenes work just because I guess I understand it a little more. And I've worked with it before in the past, so it's just a little easier for me, which is totally cool with me. But yeah, so go to the Podbean app, Podbean, in the Google Play Store, and you can download our podcast 100% for free in there. And it's just great. It's free. It works well. And if you click on the follow button, you'll get all of our podcasts as soon as they upload. But that's it for announcements. Next, we're going to go to our next segment. Joe, what did you have for lunch?
Well, John, I had fish. I had a fish sandwich. I had a Rice Krispie treat. I had a what's it called? Ice cream bar. And I feel like I had one more thing, but I don't. Oh, yep. And I had a roll with cheese on it.
What type of cheese?
What?
What type of cheese?
Cheddar. They didn't have any mozzarella.
Okay. All right. That's cool. I had like some dark meat chicken today from a local place in Manhattan, and they told me it would be here in a half hour, and it came in over an hour. And so the food was cold. And this is the first time I was ever ordering from this place. And it just shows you should stay with what you regularly order with. It was just okay. I had that with a can of Fanta orange soda. And it was just okay.
Did I tell you what happened, John?
What happened?
I can't drink soda anymore.
Why can't you drink soda?
Well, the doctor's like, no more soda for a while, so I can't drink soda for I'm allowed 1 cup once a week.
1 cup once a week. Now, did he say how big the cup should be, or are we talking in measurements like an actual cup?
No, we're not talking in measurements, right? If I had to talk by measurement, no, I get myself one of those big glasses. I fill that sucker up.
That's 1 cup.
1 cup. That's what he said. 1 cup, John.
One cup, you get that big, the tallest giant glass you can find.
Absolutely.
1 cup. But that's really unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
But okay, cool. So I'm sorry to hear that, Joseph. But hopefully you'll be able to drink soda soon. Okay, Joe. What's the most traumatic thing that's ever gone on in your life?
Oh gosh, John, I still haven't recovered. It's been almost 8 years now, right? And I'll never forget. It was 8th grade. I walked into it was like remedial math, after school math, because I was failing math so bad. And I see your ugly mug. And I'll tell you, John, I have not recovered since. It's by far the most traumatic thing that's ever happened to me. I doubt I ever will recover.
Yeah. Joe and I, we met in a remedial math course inside our junior high school, and we originally hated each other. We were fighting over being friends with another kid who was in that class, and one day we both came on wearing a Joker T-shirt from the movie The Dark Knight. Heath Ledger, may he rest in peace. Today is actually the anniversary of Heath Ledger's death.
Thank you.
Believe it or not,
your sacrifice is not in vain. It spawned a good friendship.
Heath Ledger was an amazing actor, and it's such a shame to see him go at such a young age. Unfortunately, he overdosed on sleeping medication, I believe it was. It's just a shame, but today is the anniversary. I'm not sure how many years it's been, but it's today. I read online, and it's just sad. But that's how we became friends. We were both wearing a Joker T-shirt from the movie, and since then we have been best friends. And we don't know whatever happened to that kid. We haven't spoken to him. We don't keep in contact with him.
Like, we can't say his name, but you know who you are, or maybe you don't because we didn't matter in your lives that much. But if you're listening, thank you.
We fought for this kid's attention so much, and he probably didn't give a crap about either one of us.
You're so right.
And wow. Okay, cool. One of the most traumatic, I wouldn't say traumatic, but like weirdest, funniest experiences dealing with my co-host Joe Vasello is Joe was telling me he wanted to go see a movie called Dinner for Schmucks, which is starring Steve Carell and Paul Rudd. And although I really didn't want to see it, Joe was my best friend. And so I was like, all right, I'll bite the bullet. I'll bite the $12 and go see the movie. And so I'm waiting outside the movie theater. Joe gets there late. I'm standing outside for a movie he wants to go see, and he's late. Now, we get there, we buy our tickets, we sit in. Within the first 5 minutes, if it was even that long, they made a bunch of religious jokes, which heavily offends Joe. I can look over it and just see the comedy, but Joe is offended by it, and that's his right. But he told me he was walking out, which I was not happy about, because I had just spent this money now to go see this movie that I didn't want to go see. And keep in mind, this was many, many, many years ago when I was not working. And if I wanted something, I had to ask my parents for money. And of course, I never wanted to do that. But, you had, if you want to go see a movie, that's what you had to do. And so I said to Joe, I'm like, first of all, you're not leaving me here. Second of all, I'm staying and watching the movie. So Joe, like a good friend, took out his trusty Bible, which he carries around with him everywhere. Isn't that true, Joe?
That is true.
Everywhere.
The only place I still have not figured out where to take it is into the shower, and that's only because it'll get damaged by the water.
So yeah, Joe carries his Bible around. We're talking, this is like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, whenever the movie came out. And he still does it today. Oh. Whenever Joe and I meet up, he always has his Bible with him, and that's fine with me. Some people do give us weird looks about it. Why is he carrying his Bible? They give us weirder looks when he's carrying a 6-foot cross.
That's a story for another day, John.
That's a story for another podcast. But so yeah, Joe says, okay, I'm going to sit out in the lobby and read my Bible. And at first, honestly, God, I didn't believe him. I thought, wow, okay, this kid's not going to sit down in a lobby for 2 hours and just read his Bible while I'm in here watching a movie. And so, because Joe and I, we were friends at this time. I wouldn't say we were best friends, though. We were simply just friends. And about 45 minutes after that, 45 minutes to an hour, I was like, I have to see if he's still here. And so I got up and I walked out, and there he was sitting down on the floor reading his Bible. He's like, hey, is the movie over? I'm like, no, but I wanted to check to see if you were here.
Was that the moment, John, where I became your best friend, when you knew that I would wait outside of a movie theater for you?
I don't know. I don't know if I can ever pinpoint the moment. I think maybe it was just a bunch of little moments leading up to the fact that we just became best friends. Like, we realized that we're never going to get rid of each other. But that was certainly one of the moments I was like, oh, wow, this kid is for real. This kid is definitely, he's a good person.
I don't know about good person. Maybe halfway decent friend.
You were a good friend to me that day. But yeah, so that's some of the crazy experiences we've had. And in upcoming podcasts, we'll always talk about that stuff. But now I want to get on to a topic that is currently sweeping the nation as of the recording of this podcast. We should always say that we record the episode of the podcast the Friday before. So you're currently listening to this on a Wednesday, or that's when the podcast was uploaded. We record on the previous Friday. So as of right now, it is a big topic currently sweeping the nation. And that is,
John, just to be clear, it's America. We live in a fast food nation. So, like, for all we know, this could be nonsense by Wednesday. So just keep in mind when this is recorded and,
Right. It's been going on for a few days, but now I feel like it has completely gone out of control. And that is with the Academy Awards. The Academy Awards are being taken place soon, and members of actors and actresses are coming out and saying that the Academy Awards are racist because no black people were nominated, no African Americans were nominated, which I just think is absolutely insane. I, I I personally do not believe the Academy Awards is racist. Joe, what do you think?
I think that this is just me being honest here. I think that we use racism so much and so liberally that I have to discount this accusation, right?
Right.
I feel like we use racism all the time, every day, in every kind of way that, right? That the excuse of it's because I'm black, it's because I'm white, it's because I'm Asian, right? It's because I'm whatever, right? And so when we use it so much, it becomes an excuse. Right? Do I think that
Mm-hmm.
someone was sitting in the Academy Awards? And I realize, people, I live in the middle of nowhere in a Bible college in the middle of nowhere. I don't know what the Academy Awards are, right? I'm not going to pretend to know what they are, but I honestly don't think that someone was sitting there and was like, we're not going to nominate this person because they're black, or we are going to nominate this person because they're white. Like
Right.
the civil rights movement, it was one, right? Like there's no more. Like, is there still racism that's alive? Yes, but is it everywhere all the time? Everywhere? No, of course not.
I agree completely. I think this is getting way blown out of proportion. Yeah, so Joe just mentioned he doesn't know what the Academy Awards is. I'm going to bet that most people listening to this are, but I'll explain. The Academy Awards is one of the most prestigious awards an actor or an actress or a film director can receive. It is basically they just have the Academy, which is the members of the board, and they vote on for what they believe are the best films and the best actors and the best actresses, and just analyze every aspect of a film or many films and see what they believe were the best. And I'm a film person. I definitely watch a lot of movies. And were there some movies that people classify as black that I say should have been nominated? Absolutely. This summer, Straight Outta Compton came out, and I really enjoyed the movie. Straight Outta Compton was about the group NWA back in the day with Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, and Eazy-E. And some people call it a hood film, and that's why it wasn't nominated. I thoroughly enjoyed it, though. I thought the person who played Ice Cube, which was actually Ice Cube's son in real life, did an amazing job. And the person who played Eazy-E was incredible, and should have definitely been nominated for Best Actor. But the Academy didn't feel so. And one of the things about that movie people are bringing up is that the only award it was nominated for was Best Screenplay or Best Screenwriter, and it was actually written by a white guy. And so people feel like that the Academy Awards, pinned out this movie and said, "Hey, look, we really enjoyed this movie, but we don't want to nominate any black people." Did any white people work on this film? And they look through and say, "Oh yeah, the person who wrote it did." And so they just nominate them. Like, perfect. We'll nominate the white guy. That way, the movie still gets some recognition, but we're not showing the black people. Which I just don't think that happens. I cannot
Yeah,
picture.
absolutely. And I just want to point out, we're not saying that racism doesn't exist, right?
Oh, absolutely.
The problem, and absolutely all people are made equal, right? There's no difference between me or you or anybody else based off the color of our skin. But what we are saying is something as big as the what is it called, Academy Awards, something,
yes, the Academy Awards,
and popular as that. I feel like it wouldn't be a racist decision, especially in a day and age where we have a black president.
right? And I remember back in the day. Now this was all high school, junior high school talk going around when this happened. But so obviously nobody my age at that time was voting. But I remember there was a lot of racial slurs going around about Obama before he even got into office. And then there were other people saying, "Hey, look, if you don't vote for Obama, you're racist." Which I thought was I just thought that was stupid. That was silly. You vote for the person, not for the color.
Yeah, amen. And I remember when I was in high school, right, we sat down and we had like a discussion, and I was in a predominantly African American uh, place, right? My school was, and so I was one of two white kids in the entire school. I was like a major minority, and we sat down and we had this discussion about whether we thought Obama should be president. And I said simply no. And literally, the first thing I heard was, "You're racist. You're a bigot." I mean, literally, I didn't even get to say my political views, right? And so I feel like if you're going to accuse somebody of being racist, that's totally valid, but just make sure it's true. Otherwise, you're no better than the actual racist.
Absolutely. The definition of racism is really just glamorizing one race and putting down another. And I kind of feel like by saying, hey, look, you didn't nominate us, you're the problem. Maybe if you made a better film, you'd be nominated, because it's not like the Oscars have never nominated a black person. And definitely in years past there have been plenty of black people nominated and have won several Oscars. And this year just happens to be, I don't know if it's none or if it's few, but it's just this year was just low. And sometimes that happens. I definitely think in comparison there are more white actors out there, and there's fewer black people, so that definitely increases the odds of a white person being nominated. Hey, and there's also not.
John, I just want to ask you, like, were you nominated for the award?
Was I nominated? Yeah. No, I wasn't nominated. So then
does that mean they're racist against Italians?
Well, no, but I also wasn't inside any films.
I'm just throwing that one out there. You know what I mean?
Right. And there are obviously plenty of white people who were in films this year and didn't get a single nomination.
Right. Like what about our boy Leonardo DiCaprio?
Leonardo DiCaprio gets nominated every year. He just doesn't win.
Right. That's just messed up.
Fun fact, and a lot of people don't realize this, Leonardo DiCaprio didn't even get nominated for Titanic. With, it's kind of crazy to think, that's like, his most popular movie. I thought he was going to win for The Wolf of Wall Street. That was, one of the best movies in my opinion. I thought it was great. I thought he did a great job playing Jordan Belfort. But, the Academy didn't feel so. And does that mean the Academy hates Leonardo DiCaprio? No, they just thought somebody was better. And Jada Pinkett Smith, who is married to Will Smith, released a video last week saying that she was very upset at the Oscars for not nominating black people, and that she won't be attending because she just doesn't feel right being there, and that we should stop asking for the Academy's approval, which I think is just crazy. I mean, her husband has won so many Academy Awards back in the day, and to put that on blast like that, I just feel like is wrong. I kind of feel like you're saying
1 year too. It's not like it's been like the last 70 years or whatever, right?
Right.
It's been 1 year, right? And honestly,
people are saying. People are saying it's 2.
All right, 2 years, but 2 years out of how many is the question, right? Like, let's
right.
be fair, though. Has any good movie really come out in the last 2 years?
Not too many. Some, right. But not too.
I think the fault here lies with Hollywood, not necessarily with the awards.
Absolutely. We should bring up that the Academy is brought up of about 90 people. I believe it's 90 people. 90% of them are white people. 80% are white males. Yeah, so Jada Pinkett Smith released this video expressing her. She didn't like this. She didn't feel right. It was crazy, and I just felt like it was. I just felt like it was wrong, and. Will Smith did an interview with Robin Roberts, who is on Good Morning America. She was the one that had cancer, unfortunately, but I believe she's doing well now. But Robin Roberts interviewed Will Smith Will Smith said that he didn't know that his wife Jada, made the video. He was out of the country when that video was made, and that although he only found out when he came back to the country, and he also said that he will not be attending the Oscars, which I think is I just think it's crazy. Will Smith was in a movie this past year called Concussion. It was about the NFL back in the day and not recognizing the fact that head trauma can be leaded to concussion. Consistently getting sacked and
Wait a second.
hitting the head.
Whoa! Wait a second. Head trauma causes concussion? What?
Well, Joe, we're talking.
You should be a doctor.
Well, Joe, we're talking way back in the day. This is a movie coming out now about the real doctor that discovered this. We're talking a very, very, very long time ago when, believe it or not, this stuff wasn't knowledgeable. We're talking a very long time ago. But the movie just came out this year. Will Smith plays the doctor who found this out. And I'll admit, I did not see the movie. The trailer didn't look the best to me, but I'm also not a football fan. So it could be a biased opinion, if you want to put it like that. But that movie didn't get nominated. And the fact that Will Smith is like, I'm not going to the Oscars is kind of saying like, well, you didn't nominate my movie, so bye. Which I just think is like, it's very immature. It's very babyish. It's very like...
Absolutely immature and babyish.
Yeah, it's... And there was just one part of the interview that really bothered me, just really stuck out in my head. Now, I'm paraphrasing here, but this is the gist of what he said. Robin Roberts asked the question, do you feel like the actors and actresses that were nominated for the Academy Awards deserved it? And he said yes. He said absolutely. All the actors and actresses that got nominated absolutely deserve it. But the problem still relies with diversity. And that even though that every actor and actress deserved a nomination, we should still have diversity within the nominations, because you have children watching this and they want to see themselves on that screen, being nominated for a prestigious award or even winning a prestigious award. And how are you supposed to do that if every nominee is white?
Right.
Which
I hope you can see the problem with that. It's basically saying we have to nominate a certain group of people, or a certain race of people, or a certain, let's say, religion of people, or a certain whatever kind of people, because it would be unfair if we didn't nominate them. But if they're not talented enough to get nominated, then they shouldn't be nominated. That's like me saying that I should not go to work, but because I'm part of a minority, I should get paid anyway, just so I could get right. It's so ridiculous.
That really just stuck out with me, how he could ever possibly say that just because of your race you should be nominated. I don't get that. I don't think that's fair at all. I think, and that's part of the problem with a lot of employers today who have to fill a quota, believe it or not, of the amount of African Americans, the amount of white people, the amount of Asians, whatnot. And, some people are getting jobs when they don't deserve it simply because they have to fill a quota.
Or getting into schools.
Right, exactly. There's a great quote by my favorite comedian, Anthony Jeselnik, who says, and it's the truest thing, nobody has undeserved opportunities like a Native American applying for college.
I think you went a little bit too far there, buddy.
No, it's true. It is a true quote. That is absolutely real.
I just want to also point out to the fans that me and John may have differing opinions on many things, but that's okay. It's part of the show.
Exactly.
I feel like if we lived in a time where racism was still prominent, right, then there would be an argument for it, right? But as it is today, right, there's no racism, right? I mean, I shouldn't say there is no racism. Rather, racism isn't a thing that affects jobs anymore, right? Because the employer will get involved with it, right? It should be based on the talent and the skill of the person applying, or in this case, the actor acting, or the student studying, right? On whether or not they should get into that school, job, or in this case, award.
Right. Well, I would say it definitely affects jobs and it affects colleges and whatnot because of the fact that we just said that, jobs have to, companies have to fulfill quotas,
Right, but
which I
I don't think that anybody at a particular job, or at least many jobs, um, like is sitting in their office and is like, oh, well, this person's black or this person's Native American, so we're not going to hire them, opposed to making a law that says you have to fill a quota, right? Because then what if there's a guy who's way more skilled to do that particular job? What do we do then?
believe it or not, there was I don't know if it was I think the guy came out with a video, but there was an article put out, may have been about a year ago, maybe a few months, where this man named Jose came out and said that he put out his resume to a lot of different jobs, and Jose with the acute accent and he heard nothing back. He said he applied to hundreds of jobs every single day. Just go online, go on Craigslist every single day, and then he never received anything back. And then he changed his resume to from his name to be Jose to Joe. No acute accent, nothing. Everything else remained the same, and then job offers started coming through. Now, obviously, this all could be because of timing, but it does seem a little weird that these companies would hire him based off his name, if that truly is. He said he applied to the same jobs and then heard back on Joe, but not Jose.
So, like, the problem with that is, and any doctor will tell you this, or anyone who does statistics, is you can't base an entire statistic on one case. It won't work, right?
Right.
And so, like, if what
Absolutely.
you're saying is true, right? And I'm not necessarily saying it is true or isn't true. I would like to see it done on as a test on a bigger scale, and then maybe work around that, opposed to saying there just needs to be a quota.
I agree 100%. And basically, we don't know where this guy lives. We don't know what kind of area he is and the people he had to deal with. We don't know.
Right.
It could be a timing issue. It could be when Jose applied, they weren't looking for somebody. But then when Joe applied, they were looking for somebody, and they just took the next application in.
Right.
It's all very possible.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We don't know this.
Like, I would also say, like, maybe they filled a particular quota for a name or a race that derives from Jose, but not Joe, right? Do you see the problem there? Right? Do you see the problem of having, right, opposed to saying, well, if we just hire the people who are skilled, we can interview everybody and we can see who is. But realize what it's like from a perspective of a white person who's going into a company to get a job, right? And that quota needs to be filled for black people, right? Or whatever race, right? That white person is automatically disqualified simply based on their skin color. What do we do then?
And unfortunately, the true fact of it all is that the whatever they need to fill the quota, that's who's going to get hired. In that case, it's really not based off of skill or what you know or what schools you went to or what your GPA is. It's literally based off of the quota, which, in my opinion, is just so wrong. And I feel like it should just be based off of skill. There should be no race. If I go into a job, if it's me against an African American person, and that African American has a better background than I do, went to a better school, got a higher GPA, and all of that, then he should absolutely 110% get hired for the job because he is more qualified for the job than I am. But so for Will Smith to come out and say that he's not coming basically because his movie didn't get nominated. It's not just him. It's Spike Lee, Jada Pinkett Smith, Will Smith, 50 Cent, Ice Cube. 50 Cent, yes, but he gets invited anyway. All famous people really get nominated. He won't be placed front and center because he's not nominated for anything. But it's just the exposure of him there, especially now with the with social media. Obviously anybody who's at the Academy Awards is going to go online and tweet about it and post on Facebook and Instagram and whatnot. everything. And it's just good exposure overall because 50 Cent does have a lot of fans. But that's why famous people get invited to the Oscars. But that's really our feelings on this whole discrimination issue with the Academy Awards. It's just so silly, and if you make a movie, but the Academy doesn't feel like it's good enough, you just keep trying because one day you are going to make it there. And you've seen in the past that many African American films, African American actors and actresses have made it, and one day you will too. And that's really all I can say about that subject matter.
And I just want to say, in the words of a very wise friend, I think near to my heart and near to John's heart, at least the two of us, some of you guys may know her, just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming. There you go. I like that. Joe, would you like to move on to dumb headlines?
Yeah.
Cool. How about Joe? You lead us into our first headline.
Well, okay, yeah. So, John, you're from Staten Island, and I'm from Staten Island, and so neither of us are 21 yet, so neither of us obviously have drinking or gone to a bar. But just hypothetically in your mind, you're sitting in a bar, right, and someone's causing trouble. What do you think that looks like?
Well, I feel like probably a very drunk individual. Someone.
What do they look like? You think?
It could be anybody. It doesn't have to be a certain type of person. Anybody can cause trouble in a bar.
Anyone. I feel like you're right, especially after reading this headline. Ready? Drunk squirrel gets kicked out of bar.
Joe, read a bit of the article for me and for the people.
I don't actually have it up, John. You should have it up now.
I should have it up.
Yes, you should. You're the tech guy.
Okay. I will read the article for you guys. Drunk squirrel thrown out of bar. A squirrel in the UK broke into the Honeybourne Railway pub July 2nd, 2015, and caused over $400 worth of damage. There were bottles scattered everywhere, money scattered around, and he had obviously run across the bar's pumps and managed to turn on the Caffrey's tap. The owner told the Western Daily Press that he must have flung himself onto the handle and he must have drank some as he was staggering around all over the place. The owner ultimately trapped the little drunk with the trash can and threw him out of the bar.
I'm surprised that we don't have animal activists saying that animal should have the right to be drunk. I mean, personally, I'm part of PETA. People eating tasty animals, right? So I completely
people eating tasty animals like that,
right? Not that other group about animals' rights, but seriously, we're so sensitive in our culture about treat the animals well, right? Where I'm surprised that it's people are like that animal should have the right to get drunk. Right. And really, what do you say about this? This feels like an act of nature. There's nothing that poor bartender could have done to prevent this. Right.
It kind of reminds me of a story that happened on Staten Island a few months ago. There was a store called TJ Maxx that opened up a brand new location. A brand new location on Staten Island in a shopping center, and they opened up on a Friday, and they were open up on Saturday. And then from Saturday night to Sunday, a deer burst into the window, just ran right into the window and destroyed the entire brand new shop that opened up. The brand new TJ Maxx, a deer ran in and destroyed everything. And they know it was a deer because that morning when the employees came to open up shop, they saw the deer still trapped within the store running around. And
well, look, do you know what a deer and a squirrel have in common, John?
What do they have in common?
They're really, really dumb animals. When was the last time you saw a dog, right, burst into a shop? Or a cat? Right? Never. Right? Well, listen, what do you ever notice on the side of the road that's been squished? Squirrels or deers? Well, deers don't get squished, they get hit. But my point is, right, does it really surprise you that these two stupid animals would really get burst into a bar or another store and get trapped?
Well, I think the deer is definitely it's just kind of running around. I don't think, and obviously it doesn't know what it's doing. Same with the squirrel, and
Well, I think the squirrel was thirsty. It's a Saturday night. It was lonely. It needed to drown its sorrows. I mean, if I was a squirrel, if all I ate all day was nuts, I'd be pretty upset too. Need a drink.
But there you go. But yeah, so those are your dumb headlines for the week. If you have any headlines that you want to submit into us, please send us an email with any of your questions, your comments, anything.
Great, and I want you to know that we love you, and if you have any prayer requests, if there's anything you need, shoot us an email. I will be more than happy to pray for you. I know we're jokesters, we joke a lot, but in all sincerity, we love you. Even if you disagree with us, we still love you. We want to hear your opinions, your suggestions, and spread the word.
Absolutely, please spread the word. There's a link. If you go into the iTunes store, type in John Madigan or Joseph Asello, you'll see the J&J podcast right up there. And feel free to post it all over social media, please. It helps us out a lot. And tell them to press the subscribe button. That way, every new episode will get sent to them every Wednesday as soon as we upload it.
Yes, and remember, my name is spelled with 2 S's and 2 L's.
Yes, Joseph Asello, Joseph space Vassallo. And my name is John Madigan, John space Madigan. And that email is podcasts@jmadigan.com. We'll be checking that daily. And if you want to send us anything, comments, questions, anything, please just send away, and we'll be checking it daily and responding back to you guys. Joe, did you have anything you wanted to add or you wanted to talk about before we end the show?
No. What about you, John?
No. That is our show. Thank you guys so much for listening. This is our second episode, and check back. Every Wednesday, we will upload a brand new episode. I can't thank you guys enough for listening. Thank you guys so much. My name is John.
I'm Joe.
And that is the J&J Podcast episode 2. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next week.